You hear that, guys, huh? Good morning. Good morning, guys. It's Monday, December 26th. It's the day after Christmas. That's George Michael. That's George Michael right there, guys. Remember that one, huh? I want your sex. Oh. You like I, you know, oh, man. George Michael, dead at 53, I think it is. Good morning, guys. It's this past weekend, December 26th is Monday. Sad to see that, man. That made me. How are you feeling? How do you feel about it? Did it hit you? You know, different celebrities, different musicians, especially, they hit you. Sometimes you're not expecting it. Like Prince. Yeah, Prince, obviously, like amazing. Once in a lifetime type of entertainer. But I didn't realize George Michael. I started getting all these thoughts and feelings. I used to listen to him on the school bus. I remember that was one of the first songs that I heard, man. Was George Michael on the school bus right there. Don't need no Bible, just look in my eyes. And I remember that song when it came on. I felt, I'd be on a school bus, and honestly, I'd be a little bit erect. You know, I was young, and I was spry and real sprung in the veins, and I was getting erect on the school bus, listening to George Michael, and I felt ashamed. I remember feeling ashamed. Like, what are you doing, you little sinner, you know? And that song would come on, I want your sex, and I would look at the girl sitting across from me, you know, on some frumpet, little muppet girl, kind of Rubenesque, you know, thick and just a pale girl, I remember, and big sunglasses. She needed eyeglasses, but her parents couldn't afford them, and so they gave her sunglasses. I'm like, Jesus, I don't think that's an accurate replacement, you know? I mean, she basically looks like she's in the witness protection program. Now, not only is her vision bad, but she looks like a California raisin. Anyway, but I remember that song, I want your sex. And I just remember just pushing myself up against the window, just scared to even look around. And I remember making eye contact with her when that song was on one time, and just felt every feeling you could feel as a young man. Felt everything, man. I felt everything. You know, I felt like she and I had a moment. You know, I don't know, it was heavy. It was heavy. That's all I remember, is that it was heavy. Good to see you guys Monday. Happy day after Christmas, man. Christmas happened. You know, Christmas happened this past weekend. What else? George Michael gone. Fake news. Fake news is still out there, huh? What else? I was looking at the headlines this morning. Giraffes may disappear, they said. Giraffes. We might be almost out of giraffes. So that's really alarming, you know. Just the fact that we thought these giraffes would be here forever. But let's get into it, man. This past weekend, my Christmas, what was it like? Friday, I went to New Orleans to hang out with some friends. I had a friend who's a DJ. We went to the Rusty Nail over there in New Orleans. I went to a buddy of mine from high school. He's a contractor now. He and his brother, they had what was it? Oh, they had a Christmas party. So I stopped by there. It was good to see them, catch up, you know, share old stories, things I didn't remember. And my buddy's straight, his brother's gay. But it reminded me, his brother was the first gay guy I ever knew about. I'd never thought about that before. And it didn't, it doesn't matter now. And I don't think it mattered to anybody then, but it was just, it was a novel thing. It was like, the first time that I heard about a Chinese boy. I'd never spent any time, didn't know any Chinese people. So I remember that they might have talked about this last week. Even they had a Chinese boy, allegedly, about 17 miles away from us when I was growing up. And we heard about it. We got wind of it. We were downwind from the Chinese, apparently. And so we saved up money, me and two of my buddies. We saved up money, cutting yards, made us a little bit of money, and got a taxi. We got a $41 taxi to go see the Chinese. But there was no Chinese. It was a laundromat, one of those, cleaners. Somebody built a cleaners and just, a breakdown in communication via humans. And that was how, when it got to us at 11 years old, there was an alleged Chinese person. And there's nothing wrong with being Chinese if you're out there and you're uber liberal and you can't stand somebody saying the name of an ethnicity. But we'd never heard about it. We didn't know anything about it. We were children. And we grew up in a white and black area. So when we heard there's a Chinese person, a boy too, they said. There was a little bit of lore there, legend. There was a Chinese boy. If you hear some people in the background, I'm staying at my brother's house. I'm actually in he and his wife's closet right now, recording this. So the kids could be fighting or crying or loving or being loving in the background. That is an option. So, but anyway, what was I even talking about? Yeah, I went to New Orleans, hang out with some friends. But yeah, my buddy, the contractor, he and his brother are contractors. He was the first gay guy that we ever knew about, And there was all, the way they phrased it, oh yeah, but he does his own thing. Oh, that's right, he's doing his own thing. Oh, he's really, he's an adventurer, just the terms you would hear, just crazy. Anyway, those were that's what I did Friday, I believe. I went to that. Actually, that was Saturday. That was Friday. It was Friday. I went there to New Orleans. We just had Stassi Schroeder on our podcast on Allegedly. It'll be coming out tomorrow. The girl from Vanderpump Rules. If you're a Stassi Schroeder fan, you can check her out on our podcast on Allegedly, which drops tomorrow, Tuesday, the 27th. But she's from New Orleans, so texted her, see if she wanted to, come out or she's in town. Didn't get a response. No response! Sometimes you don't get responded to, and even though I wasn't doing it sensually, it does, it makes you as a man, you want to get a response from the ladies. I could text my grandmother if she doesn't text back with that oyster dressing recipe of hers that I'm asking for, then I'm upset. I'm upset about that. So, I didn't get a text back, but that's okay, busy ladies. These ladies are busy. Especially these fancy ladies, a lot of them, they can get a little busy. But that's okay. I'm just kind of clowning around there. But she's on our podcast. If you like Vanderpump Rules, if that's your universe, if that's what you watch, or if your wife makes you watch that at night and you pretend like you don't like it, but you like it. She's going to be on Allegedly tomorrow. I got into it with her, man. I asked her some questions, she's a beautiful girl. So I asked her some questions, about sensuality, asking her about some of her sexual thoughts and practices, just kind of what she's into, if she's, cause, girls are in so anyway, we get a little sensual on there if you want to check out Allegedly. I'm going to drop some dates on you coming up. I got the Virginia Beach Funny Bone, January 26th through 29th. And then the following weekend, I got the Improv in Chicago. It's actually out in Schaumburg, Illinois, February 2nd through the 4th. So that's exciting. As well, if you do art, I'm looking for somebody to do some cover art for my album. I got a new album that's dropping, 30-Pound Bag of Hamster Bones. If you do cover art or you're an artist, inbox me, DM me. slide into my DMs with your artistic talents, with your color pencils. But no, seriously, if somebody wants to design a cover or submit an opportunity to design that, you're welcome to do that. What else? So that was this past weekend. I invited out the Vanderpump Rules girl. I did get a text back from her yesterday, maybe on Christmas, maybe Saturday. I think yesterday I got it. It said, I was at a party. And I was busy, but that she may go out on tomorrow or today, Monday. Today's Monday. What else, man? George Michael, though, huh? Did that get you? Let's. So long, baby, now that we're friends. Just imagine, huh? 11-year-old boy, this comes on the school bus. I want your love. I want your sex. Just a bunch of impoverished kids sitting there staring at each other. Man, I was sprung. I was erect. I will say that. I remember looking out the window and just like, I couldn't see anything. I was looking out the window, but I couldn't see anything. That's how erect I was at that age, 11. And just hearing that, just them say, sex, I want your sex, on the radio. Even though it was a man saying it, I was sprung. I was sprung up. So yeah, Friday I went to New Orleans. I stayed over there. I stayed with my buddy and his girlfriend. They live together now. They had some cats. A couple of cats tried to get at me in the night. One cat I think is black. One of them's mixed. But they was kind of fucking with me in the dark, and that's a little bit challenging. Sleeping in unfamiliar territory, and you got two cats kind of fucking getting at you. Speaking of actually, which kind of brings things full circle right now. I remember getting sensual with this girl up in Philadelphia. That's one of the older cities in America. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Staying at her place and being erect in my sleep. I was actually being erect in my sleep. And she had a cat just swatting at my erection. And I remember waking up to that. And that is startling, dude. If you have not... I'm an animal lover, I guess, but I'm not... it depends on what animals. I've had a storied history with animals, and we'll get into that as, some of these episodes unfold. But, I mean, if you haven't had a cat batting at your erection, I mean, that was... Going after that scratching post, huh? So, yeah, cat batting on my erection. I was a girl in Philadelphia. But that was scary. That was alarming. Another time I remember sharing a bed with this woman, and she had a dog. The dog's name was Kobe. And a huge, big brown dog. It was a Great Dane, and we shared a bed together. And this was right after Kobe Bryant had gotten brought up on those rape charges. And I remember thinking, this is, this could go any way, This could go any way. And she made the dog sleep in the middle of us. That was baffling to me. But again, I respect it. I didn't know. I just met this lady, and this is back when I was, just kind of running around tomcatting. And, that was alarming. And she let me sleep over by her place, and I don't remember if we really got very sensual or anything, but I do remember sharing this bed with her and this Great Dane, Kobe. I don't know if he's still out there, and I wonder what he was thinking while we laid there. Man, erect. So then Saturday I woke up, I went and visited. I got a condo over there in New Orleans. I know I'm property dropping here, but, it had flooding. It had flooding in it, from, the guy who lived upstairs was leaving his unit, decided he wanted to take the washing machine with him, couldn't figure out how to unhook it, ripped it out of the wall. Just ripped it out of the wall. Just aborted that thing right out of the wall. Broke a pipe in the wall and flooded a bunch of units downstairs. One of those is the place that I own. So we've had to remodel it. But my tenant decided to stick with me. She didn't move out. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I got to stop in and see that place. And it looks really nice. And the guys who did the construction on it were the same dudes' parties that I went to on Friday night. So a little full circle there. The first gay guy I ever met, and his brother, who was my close friend actually growing up. We were good buddies. So anyway, what else, man? Then Saturday was Christmas Eve. I got up and did a yoga class. Didn't want to do that. Oh, miserable in there. Saw this beautiful girl that I knew from growing up in my hometown. She bought me a coffee. And I drank it slowly, bruh. I'll tell you that, dude. I drank that coffee slow, baby boy. Drip, drip. You want to talk about that slow drip, man? I let it just, Take control, I want your spirit. So that was cool. Went to the yoga class. Then it was Saturday, man. It was Saturday, and I came back to Baton Rouge, and I went up to Natchez, Mississippi. I don't know if you ever been up to Natchez, Mississippi, but I mean, it is very, it is just almost, I don't want to say slave times up there, but it is a deep south, pretty just black and white city, like most southern cities are just, kind of black and white, or have been for a long time as far as the main two ethnicities. So that's what you see there. But this one, I mean, whereas in Natchez, you see, I mean, it's just like, the white people act like it's 100 years ago, and the black people act like it's 100 years. Like, you'll have black people that talk to you like you're, like, I'm just, walking into Walmart, doing some last minute, cheaper Christmas shopping. And, you'll meet a black guy who talks like he's an indentured servant. Like, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, everybody's got to evolve in this town, Everybody's got to evolve here, So that was baffling, You got a guy pop out of the bush. He's like, you got any news from the north? I'm like, dude, you guys been free for 100 years. Let's get out of here. But that was fun, man. I had a good time catching up with some family. I used to work on a farm up there. I used to be a farmer. I remember I worked on a farm. Soybean, cotton, corn. Driving tractor. Hauling seed. Killing snakes. Growing up, I had a buddy in my town. He loved hunting snakes. He was tough, too. One of the toughest kids in our town, but he had a lisp. And then when he'd be like, I'm going to hunt me some snakes. And he was saying snakes, but he couldn't say it. But you couldn't look at him like he couldn't say it. Because he would whoop your ass. So you know how hard it is to hunt snakes and not be able to laugh? Unbelievable, dude. Those snakes. We're gonna get these snakes. Crazy times. So spent some time up there in Mississippi. Had a great time, actually, just catching up. My buddy used to work on a farm up there, whose farm I used to work on. He died. He died a while back, man. Good guy. A lot of people in my life died, You know, they did. People just, you know, I guess I'm just a good luck charm. But, yeah, but actually we'll switch. Actually, we're going to switch songs right here. A little more George Michael, dead at 53. Very sad, man. This one hit me. You know, you don't know who's going to hit you. This one hit me, man. Oh, that song, man. Father figure. But that makes me think of my buddy whose farm I worked on. The guy was like a father figure to me, man. He was. And he passed away. He's got a family up there now in Natchez. So anyway, I was spending time with them, and we shared a lot of great stories. Dude, I'll tell you one story. They had this guy, Ronnie. Oh, no, Johnny. He was the yard man, right? This brother. Big afro brother, you know, and he was the yard man. He came and, you know, tended to the yard and took care of the yard. This was, you know, 15, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Maybe more, 25. But Johnny would come, and he had the biggest afro. Well, one weekend, Johnny was painting the fence around the swimming pool, you know. And so we're out there because a lot of sparrows, in the springtime, a lot of sparrows, if you had long hair or big hair, or if you had you know, something flashy in your hair like a bow or like a spinner bait. Maybe that got caught up in your head trap, you know, because some of the girls in these rural areas would wear a little spinner bait in their hair, you know, trying to catch a man. That was kind of the idea. But Big Johnny was out there, and he was very Rubenesque, this guy. I mean, he was always sweating, you know. He could be in the freezer section at the Piggly Wiggly and still be just perspiring. So Big Johnny get out there and he's painting this fence, you know. And it was just each fence was just a 2x2 boards all the way around this fence, and he was painting it, a picket fence around the swimming pool. But he's come in the house and he said, "Hey now," he said, "they got these two tennis rackets here, badminton rackets actually. You know badminton rackets? All wand, no racket, you know? Give me some fucking racket. What am I supposed to do with the badminton? Flip eggs? That thing a piece of shit. Give me a racket. You know? That's the kind of guy I am. I bring a tennis racket to a badminton match, dude. You know? So, anyway, we're out there. Ronnie the Sparrows was attacking his hair. They probably had 400 sparrows in the area attacking his hair because he had this big, beautiful afro. You know, and they think that's nesting material. So they're flying down. Me and one of the kids, we're fending them off. So we're out there just, you know, this is our U.S. Open out here. We're out here just beating sparrows, you know, trying to beat them out of a man's hair. You know? And I'm no Olympian, dude, but I've beaten some sparrows out of an afro. That's for damn sure. In 95-degree heat in Mississippi, you better be damn sure I have, man. Because I'm not afraid to look for a father figure. Moving on, yeah. So that was that. That was that. What else, man? We moved on. That was that was back in Natchez. We had a good time there Saturday night. Did Christmas Eve there. And that was beautiful, man. We went to church on Saturday. That was really nice. But honestly, I got angry in church, man. The band was too loud. They got 19 musicians on the stage. I'm in church. I don't need this. I need a woman up there singing. That's what I want. Give me some Hallelujah. Give me some Silent Night. Holy night. They had 7-inch, 4 guitars, a dude in a drum set behind a big cage in like a aquarium. So what is going on here? And it's a small church, but it wanted to be like a mega church. I don't know. I love the church. The church was actually awesome. The music, but I let it get to me. So then I'm there. I'm agitated. That's my fault. I let it get to me. I'm agitated. So then I'm the grumpy dude in church, scoffing at people. Start looking around. I can't believe she wore that. Just bad. So things got weird there. What else? I spoke to one of the drunkest guys I've ever talked to this weekend, man. That's always alarming when a guy's just so drunk. He's telling you 9 different stories at once. He's treating you like a friend one second, then an enemy the next. Just too much, Drinking's for children, that's what I say, man. Drinking's for children. What else, man? Still good. Had a good time, man. Woke up on, did Christmas Eve there in Mississippi. Had a great time. Woke up, still masturbation free. I'm still on the no masturbation train. No pornography. No pornography for me. God, thank God no George Michael was playing on Christmas Eve. I can't even stay unerect during that, So, yep, we did that. Christmas Day, drove down, saw my nieces and nephews here in Baton Rouge. They're beautiful, they're funny. They're kids. I mean, they're kids, man, they're great. And then I went to my hometown. Decided to go to my old neighborhood, man. Drove into my old neighborhood where I grew up, McGee Street, there in Covington, Louisiana. I mean, that place, a lot of negative. That's where I caught the school bus, dude, when I used to listen to this man, the man. Understand me. Oh, this song got me, too. We can be. Father figure. I didn't have one growing up, man, so I needed one. And so when that song came on, it resonated in me. It kind of made my emotions erect. Just fully erect here listening to George Michael. Not now, but back then. But yeah, nobody in my neighborhood had really had a father figure. So I went back to visit the old neighborhood. I parked in my mother's old parking spot. My mom drove a Ford Festiva. Used to deliver newspapers and magazines out of that thing, bruh. She liked a Ford Festiva. That's a little bitty car. Looked like a roller skate, Looked like somebody knocked up a roller skate. My mother drove that. She had to have a car that she could drive and beat us in at the same time, bruh. We could have all 4 of us in that car. And she could hit from the driver's seat. She could successfully whoop all of our asses. And we deserved it too, probably. 95% of the time. She wouldn't have had to do it if we would have had a father figure. So I visited the old neighborhood, man. I parked my car. I had a lot of negative feelings from that neighborhood. I had some good stuff too. We had a good time. I mean, it was an American neighborhood. We played football, and there was, we played in the backyard. We played in the street. That's when you were kids. When you played in the street, that was a real neighborhood. We'd go down to the church parking lot and play. You could hear other kids getting beaten if their windows were open in their houses. People got their ass whooped. A couple of pedophiles in a neighborhood, they'd stop by and give you that card. They got to let you know they had the law in Louisiana. If you're a pedophile, you got to stop by. Introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Mark. I'm new in the area. Not by choice. A lot of them got signed up. I think halfway houses and stuff they were in our neighborhoods and stuff like that. People in recovery, people trying to make themselves better. I think that's a tough thing to beat, though, that rap. But yeah, we used to play kickball with a couple of pedophiles in our neighborhood. Just throw the ball, Larry. You're not getting this ass, you know? Because once you knew they were pedophiles, everybody was off the hook. You know, it was when you didn't know they could trick you. But yeah, it was a hectic neighborhood, you know. Family down the street, shirtless, the whole family shirtless. 0 shirts. If you're thinking about a shirt right now, you're wrong. A couple of Elvis impersonators in the area, you know. But anyway, I parked my car, I got out, and I just started walking down the block, man. You know, I'm a nostalgia hunter. I love nostalgia. So I'm walking down the block, looking at the houses and the apartments and stuff where we used to live. Walked up to my old apartment that I used to live in. I almost knocked on the door. I don't know what I was going to say, though. At first I was going to be like, I used to live here. But I didn't have a secondary sentence. I didn't have a backup plan. But then I got by the door and I saw they had some little rebel flags in the window. That's not my life. So, and not that those people are bad people, you know. When you're poor, you just, you know, everybody wants an emblem, you know. When you're rich, you might wear Mercedes-Benz earrings or something like that. You know, people relate to what they got, you know, what they have or whatever. So I'm not judging those people, but I just felt like this isn't, you know, I don't want to get shot. Shit, I got on a nice shirt, you know. I got on a button-up. I don't want to scare anybody around here. You know, if I come across another young man who doesn't have a father figure in your eyes, in my size. He said, in my size? Say in my size there. So anyway, I walked around the neighborhood. Then I was getting back in my car. I was going to leave because somebody started yelling. Two people were fighting about a parking spot. There's 1 million parking spots. People are fighting because there's nobody. I mean, you can park anywhere in this shithole. And it was a shithole. I'm not saying that negatively. So, you know, I mean, it was just, that's what it was. You know, it was an impoverished neighborhood. But then I walked up to some people there and I just said hello. Hey, what's up? And we started chatting. I didn't know them, but they lived in the area now. We chatted for about 20 minutes, took a picture together. So I kind of reconnected a little bit. You know, it reminded me a little bit of the past. So it was good. I love nostalgia, man, going to visit the past. I love that kind of stuff. What else? Reading in the news today. They're not talking about Russia anymore. Thank God, Russia? Really? Fuck the news, bro. They want to talk about fake news. It's all fake news. CNN, MSNBC, all of it. It's all bullshit. They're selling. It's all advertising. Freedom of the press, I'm fine, but not this way. These people are just scaring everybody every day. Look at the front page every day. Any combination of words they can have to scare us. I don't believe any of that bullshit. It's sad. I used to love CNN. I used to love their website. I would go there for news, but now it's just all hate. It's all hatred, you know? I just don't get it. Russia. Really? Russia's coming? What is Russia going to do? Russia? They're still using our old blenders from 40 years ago. They're still eating straight cornmeal. Straight. Not mixed with water. They're not... Come on, come on. Really? The kids are playing with stone dolls over there. Dolls made out of stone. Idiots. I can't buy that. Scaring people, man. You know, and then they had giraffes may disappear. That was an article today. Animals are becoming extinct. You know? And then everything on there is against Trump, which is fine, you know, if they want to. But they wouldn't do that to, you know, other president. The guy's the fucking president. Oh, well. Quit crying. You know, if Hillary's the president, no matter who it is, quit crying. Move on. What are you going to do? Live in the past? Quit crying. But giraffes may disappear, and frogs too. That's what it said. Giraffes may be extinct, ... and frogs too. Really? Frogs? Bro, I'm in South Louisiana right now. I open the front door. You can see 9 frogs, bro. 9 frogs from the front door. You want a frog? You want a sample? Dude, I'll get 2 of them to make love in the front yard, and I'll solve that problem right here. Frogs ain't disappearing. You're out of your fucking mind. The news is out of their mind. I don't believe any of it. I believe people that I trust. That's what I believe. People that I trust, and I believe my own instincts, and I believe what I see and feel with my own eyes and heart. I'm not an idiot. Yeah, there's stuff you can learn. You know, you can expand your mind, but don't listen to these news. They're selling the advertising. They're Johnson & Johnson. They're selling Charmin commercials. Anybody that's selling you something, they got a motive. Freedom of the press. I wish they'd shut these assholes up. I'm just sick of it. Because it's not news, it's just fear. They're inciting fear. You know? The world isn't as bad as it is. As they say it is. You know? I don't know. I try to stay off it, but the problem is we're addicted. We're addicted to to absorbing all of this. I don't know how to beat that. I'm going to start working on it, I think. I hope. But yeah, George Michael, gone, bro. God, that father figure. Who's next, though? Who do you think's next, dude? Somebody said Steven Tyler this morning. No way. No way, Steven. That guy'll live forever, huh? Steven Tyler? No, I can't sing. Whatever. Natalie Merchant, huh? I don't even know who that is. Lil Wayne, he's been having seizures. Lil Wayne's been having seizures, guys. He's got adult asthma. He could be out. Who's next, huh? One of the Marley brothers, Ziggy, Snappy, Smokey. You gotta think, dude, that much weed, that much relaxation, you could easily catch something that could kill you. George Michael died. I think he said it was heart failure. You know, it makes you wonder. Drugs could have been. All right, and we're back. The battery died on the recorder. I think it's a sign that maybe it's time to shut it down. But yeah, they said frogs and giraffes extinct. Fucking giraffes, bruh. Talk about an animal that slid by solely on its looks. Name one thing a giraffe has ever done. There's never even been a show like where they did, you know, like every animal like usually has a TV show where like they had Lassie, they had the one with the dolphins, they had, you know, where they help out, where they save the day. Giraffes never had that fucking, they just don't have that, giraffe ain't saving the fucking day. They're not, giraffes, no animal has slid by on its awkward looks more than giraffes, bro. More than giraffes. I'm trying to think of somebody to compare them to. You know? Somebody that, you know, has like an awkward or unique look, and that's what gets them through. That's it. You know? I can't think of anybody at the moment. What else? I'm doing the, New Year's Eve, I'm doing Amy Schumer's show in New Orleans. Here in my home city. I was going to go back home, to Los Angeles, but I'm staying here in Louisiana. I'm going to do that, as far as I know. And what else? Fucking giraffes, though. Really? Look at them. Look at them. With the spots and the neck that never ends. What do you try to put them in a headlock? It could take you 45 minutes, bro. Think about that. You got to use your whole body to put them in a headlock. Because you got to get them around the neck. You know? Giraffes. Doing those long legs. I don't like them. I guess I don't like them. I didn't know I didn't like them really till just now, when I'm really bringing it up. Who's gonna die though? Who's the next celebrity to go? I know it's dark, but who's the next one to go, huh? Who's the next one to go? I think, honestly, I hate to say it, it's gonna be the Golden Girl. It's gonna be Betty White. I think Betty White's next. I felt it last year. I'd have put money on it. I would have put money on it. But I didn't, you know? I didn't. Maybe Russia will kill her, huh? Wonder if that's going to be a news story. Russia tries to kill Betty White. Fucking news. Eat a can of snake dicks. Anyway, that's about it, man. I'm going to shut it down. That's what I did this past weekend. But I want to, you know, Merry Christmas to everybody. You know, I hope you guys had a good one. If you didn't, it's probably your fault, you know? That's what I'm starting to learn. If I'm not having a good time, it's probably my fault. I got to either get myself into a different environment or I got to change my perspective a little bit. Because in the end, we're kind of responsible for, you know, how we feel, you know, or how we, you know, how we let ourselves feel. I think that's maybe a better way to say it. But anyway, man, Happy holidays, everybody. The next one will be in the new year. You know, this comes out in the Monday morning. I fill you in on what happened this past weekend. I got upcoming shows Virginia Beach and then in Chicago. You can find them on theovon.com. Also have my shirts on there, the brush shirts. We got the new album coming. If you want to do some art, hit me up about that. And just keep trying, huh? Just keep trying. That's all you can do. Don't give up, huh? I don't know why I'm talking like a, I don't fucking know, dude. But I'm going to go play with my nieces and nephews. I'm just happy to be here. You guys have a good one, man. And R.I.P. George Michael. God. And I'm not even going to play the music again. I'm just going to sing a little bar for you right here. Yeah, I don't need you, won't hear you, no lie. Don't need no Bible, just look in my eyes. You waited so long, baby, now that I can't take much more. This is my, I want you. He was kind of the white Michael Jackson. A little bit. He was a little bit like the white Michael Jackson. And he was, I will be your father figure, put your tiny ass in my, I will be your preacher, creature, anything you had in time. I'll see you guys next Monday, man. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I don't know if I did, but you know what it was. Be good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jonathan Kite, and welcome to Kite Club, a podcast where I'll be sharing thoughts on things like current events, stand-up stories, and 7 ways to pleasure your partner. The answer may shock you. Sometimes I'll interview my friends. Sometimes I won't. And as always, I'll be joined by the voices in my head.
You have 3 new voice messages.
A lot of people are talking about Kite Club. I've been talking about Kite Club for so long, longer than anybody else. So great.
Hey, sweetheart, here's a deal. Anyone who doesn't listen to Kite Club is a dodgy bloody wanker. Do you know what I mean?
Hi, I'll take a quarter pounder with cheese and a McFlurry.
Sorry, sir, but our ice cream machine is broken.
No!
I think Tom Hanks just butt-dialed me. Anyway, first rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Second rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Third rule, like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch us on YouTube, yeah? And yes, don't worry, my Brad Pitt impression will get better.
Hey there, I will be the Dark Arts Tour coming to West Siloam Springs, Oklahoma at Cherokee Casino. That's June 9th. June 15th and 16th, Yuck Yucks, Calgary, Alberta. And that's in Canada, our friends, our northern friends. 23rd of June, Tembler Brewing, Bakersfield, California. In Bakersfield, boy, anything can happen out there. You might go missing. You might start a family. You might find gold, baby. That's Bakersfield. July 6th through 8th, Levity Live, and that's in Oxnard, California. July 20th through 22nd, Charlie Goodnight's, Raleigh, North Carolina. August 16th through 18th, the Laugh Factory in Chicago, Illinois. You've been asking, and I'm excited to come back there to the state that my mother was born in. August 23rd to August 25, Helium Comedy Club in Buffalo, New York. And if they don't have the tickets up for sale, then hit them up and ask them why. September 14th and 15th, that's Zanies in Nashville, Tennessee. Some more dates will be added. And I'm just grateful to be getting out there and having people come, man. It's going to be fun, and we're going to do some cool stuff. We're also going to start doing some outreach where we're going to do some things for single moms in some of these cities. So whenever we go into a city and do a show or a weekend of shows, we're going to have people in advance. Listeners can submit single mothers that they know. And we're gonna get the mother a babysitter, her babysitter, so she has somebody that she trusts, and we're gonna, take care of her and a friend, take them out to dinner, and then get them a nice setup at the show, a nice second or third row seat, and just make it so a nice single mom can come out and enjoy an evening and know that her children are being taken care of. I think that's going to be really, really cool. And I want to thank our Patreon supporters, because that's what our Patreon money is going to start going towards, is paying for things like that. So really excited about that. And just, man, it's going to be cool. This is so cool. It's like this is going to be a fun fall. We're also going to do one other show in rural Illinois, and it's a fundraiser for the Paramount Theater, and that's in Wyoming, Illinois. Those dates will be up this week as well, and that's going to be June 29th, a Friday, 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's in Stark County, Illinois, and that's middle of nowhere, boy. And that's where I'm from. Not there originally, but I'm from middle of nowhere, just a different one, down in Louisiana. This episode, as always, is brought to you by Gray Block Pizza. Gray Block, 1811 Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles. They got that food, and they got that feeling, and all you need is your face. Gray Block Pizza, get that hitter. Dude, I hate to use this music again to start off our show, but I also love to use it again, and this is Shine by Bishop Gunn. And that is Shine by Bishop Gunn off of the new album Natchez. And that's out of Natchez, Mississippi. And I used to work, a lot of you guys already know it. I'll say it one more time. One of my good friends who passed away, he died of addiction. And he employed me to work on his farm for a few years. And I became good friends with his family right after college. And one of his sons is now the drummer in that beautiful band, called Bishop Gunn. And that's their single that's hitting the airwaves, man. It's called Shine. And yeah, that just, it makes me feel good when I hear that song. And so I had to start off with that. Thanks for coming in, and welcome to you, whoever you are, if you're listening, you got your ears open, and you're sharing a moment of your time with me. Man, what's going on? A lot of stuff is going on. We had, I got to go on Joe Rogan this week. We went on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan's, I was nervous, first of all. I was nervous because I look up to Joe so much, and for some reason with me, I think when I look up to somebody, for some reason it makes me kind of nervous. I guess, well, you want to, I don't know. It's like when you're hanging out, you know what it feels like to me a little bit? It's like you're hanging out with your big brother and his friends. And you're like, you want to, you're just, I don't know. I was just nervous. But it was wild, man. And right off the bat, Joe starts talking to me, and I love Joe. I'm extremely grateful to him. He's done a lot of nice things, small things that were really nice for me, like like he would just see me do comedy, and I've said this before, but he would just drop me a text a couple days later, the next day, and just say, "Hey man, you had a really good set." And that kind of stuff, like, you don't realize sometimes, like, somebody that you admire, like, telling you something, sharing something positive, supporting what you do, you don't realize how much that means to that person. And he doesn't, I don't think he doesn't probably realize it. But it's like I would get those texts and I'm like, wow, man. You know, it's like your big bro. It's like, I don't know. It's just like it's like impressing your brother, I don't know. You know, and that kind of stuff really just has resonated with me over the years. He's done that. And Joey Diaz does that as well. He'll call you. But Joe would do that sometimes and just hit me up and say, hey, man, you were really funny last night. And, you know, coming from, you know, my life when all I wanted to do probably was, you know, make people I admired, you know, make them feel like I was part of, like I was okay. You know, and maybe some of that goes back to like father and brother, you know, not being present growing up and all of that. But, you know, just when you have a male figure and it, you know, just that support, that's really what it is. Joe's been so supportive. And so, you know, anyway, but I was excited to be in there and I was excited to get to hang out with him because he thinks like wild. You know, he thinks like he's got, you know, it's like, I think he has more than one brain in his head. You know, Joe Rogan might have 5 or 6 brains in there. And one of the brains is probably you know, and then he might have other brains orbiting around brains. You know, he might have one brain that's, you know, he might have brains in the distance, you know, cooking elk. I mean, he's got, you know, he continues to kind of like expand his way of thinking. And so right in the beginning, he was talking about if there were infinite universes and if there were more than just one of you. And I couldn't even, I was so nervous, kind of, I was just, couldn't even think really that good. But then now I'm thinking, after that, I texted him the next day and I was like, man, I'm obsessed now with wondering if there are infinite universes, this is what he was saying, if so many infinite universes that there would be a possibility for you to meet your exact self. Like, you know, say the two universes get close enough to each other somehow in orbits or whatever, and then you know, there's, you know, programs, you're both astronauts or something, and you meet, like, if you were able to meet your exact self, think about that, if you were able to meet your exact self. And I was just like, I left there thinking, would I like myself? Like if I met me, like, would I like me? What would I do? What would I think? Would I think I was neat? You know, would I think I was tall? Would I think that I was handsome? You know, would I think that would I know, if I were able to look into my own eyes, would I be able to like see my truths at like another dimension? You know, especially since most of my life, you know, especially growing up, like I didn't have a lot of self-worth. So most of my self-worth would come from what other people thought of me. You know, there was no, you know, there was nothing inside of me. So everything that I knew I had to get from the outside. And so I was so hyper aware of what other people were constantly thinking. Because I needed to be, because I needed that next second and that next minute and that next, you know, just to know, I was monitoring how I was and if I was okay through moment to moment interaction with others. And what they would give me back, that's how I feel about myself. I was thinking like if I based my feelings off of what other people thought of me and I saw myself, would I then, like looking into my own eyes, would I be able to, you know, just come full circle with what self-worth means and what it, you know, and just like get to another plateau in thinking about that. But it just fascinated me. I left out of there thinking like, what the fuck? I never thought about running into myself. Would I think I had bad breath? You know, would I think I had like a long neck or a regular neck or a kind of a 4 out of 10, kind of a mid-range, lower mid-range neck, medium rare? Because I don't have a super long neck. And I don't think a lot of people in my family, we're not real look-arounders. Some people have a long neck. You know, when you see those people, they're looking for stuff and they can, look behind the sofa easier, and they don't lose their wallet probably as much because they got that extra 2 inches to look and to gaze. They could see fruit easier if they're looking for fruits. But when you have that limited neck, man, you kind of, you're stuck on your own little bitty, it's not really a hilltop. You just kind of stuck on, you kind of just hanging out on your own cliffside. You can't do a lot when you got that limited neck. And I come from a long line of people with limited necks. But yeah, I was just wondering if you saw yourself and you looked in your own eyes, would you, I don't know, would your just whole world explode? Like, would you just know everything? Would I like myself? It just blew my mind. If there were infinite universes, and it just blew my mind, man. So I left out of there, I think, with a little bit more thinking, and I think that's kind of what Joe Rogan does for me, is he makes me think a little bit more. And he makes me think sometimes of uncomfortable things. He makes me think outside of like the confines of the comfortable confines of things that, these templates that I was raised in or raised around or just that I saw. It's kind of like when you see, remember when you got them colors when you were a child and your mother took you to the color shop and you got that 8 box. You got that box of 8 hitters, just that little fucking, that Roy G. Biv fiasco. You got that little 8-pack, that 8 ball. You got that 8 ball. And suddenly, some dude shows up with that 64 box. And your fucking dick blew out of your ears. Remember that? Dude, I remember my nuts traveled up my body and looked out of my eye holes because I was just shook by the fact that some man suddenly had 56 more colors than I had. Some boy, not a man. They didn't have any men in our class, in disguise or anything. But that some boy, and it blew my mind. And suddenly you were doing different pictures and you were thinking different things, and you were like, fuck, magenta? I'm out here on magenta? And then everything changed. Cause then I would see maybe I would see somebody's shirt or hat, or I would see a woman's hat at church and be like, oh, that's a magenta hat. And suddenly, you have more elements to put out into your template, to put out into your world. And that's kind of, I think, that's kind of what I left out of Joe Rogan's podcast thinking. I left out of there actually just thinking. He makes me think, and I think he makes a lot of, young men and women think. He's kind of this dope ass outer space male, marine, kind of not, he's just everything. I don't know what he is, man. It's almost like if you took a whole timeline of existence and just took it like that and put it all into one person. It's like the past and, and the future and everything. And he's probably got moons. I bet he has moons going around him. I bet there's a moon way off in the distance that we don't even know about. That's just that, just that Rogan moon. But it was an honor, man. It's an honor to go in there. It's just an honor. I don't know. It made me feel, I just felt like accepted. Like he made me feel accepted, which, for me is like a really big thing, like I think a lot of my life, I don't feel that way. And so to go in and I don't even think these are things that he's, outwardly doing like on purpose. I think some of it's just his nature. I think in some ways he's like a little bit of like that big brother that like, I had my brother, but my brother, didn't live with us, and like, and he, and he's had some, he's had some tough times, even though I really love my brother, and I'm, I don't think I've ever been prouder of anybody in my whole life than him. But anyway, damn, boy, this shit got me gleeking out my eyeballs, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm fucking making salt water, dude. I'm like a 6th grade science experiment, zit. But yeah, I don't know. He just made me feel accepted and just, I don't know. But I'm just grateful, man. I'm just grateful to be in an environment where I feel inspired. I get to go on some of these other podcasts, Fighter and the Kid, and those guys make me laugh, man. And they make you laugh. I know it because I get out on the road and I see these, I see Fighter and the Kid listeners, and I'm a Fighter and the Kid listener, so I know it's like there's just this wild, we're part of their party. We're part of their party, and I guess I'm just grateful to just be, just to, I guess, I don't know. I'm just grateful, I guess, to feel accepted some. And maybe, that shouldn't matter to me. And I don't know if it matters. It's not a thing like I walk around thinking like those guys didn't accept me ever, but I don't know. And it's just something that I feel. So anyway, man, there was a lot more to spending time over at Rogan's, and the conversation was kind of all over, and he thinks it's so fast, and it's hard for me to, he's got Lance Armstrong in his blood. So that dude's out there. He's in outer space. He's walking on the moon. He's juggling. He's playing saxophone. He's got all kinds of things going on inside of him. And, but it was fun, man. It was exciting and it was fun. And so if you wonder what it's like to kind of go in, because I get a lot of messages like, Theo, what's it like to go to Joe Rogan's? And, is it like is it underground? Somebody asked me if it's underground, like it's a bunker. And that made me laugh so hard, man. No, actually, it's in a blimp. It is, we leave the earth and we go out there, and Eddie Bravo's the driver, and we just travel around. And so that way you get a firsthand look at some of the things that, some of the things that Joe is talking about. But yeah, man, I just had a blast. And I know that a lot of, people that are, fans of mine and friends of mine, and just being able to listen to me talk to somebody that we all admire, like Joe. I just know it was fun for a lot of us. So I was just glad to be there. What else? What else is going on? Sorry, dude, I got on these, I started dripping out the face, so that's happens. Whatever. That's life, dude. That's life. Well, whatever was inside me, I'm glad it's not in me anymore, bruh. Get out. Get out of me. If you got to come out my eyes, you must be something wild. That's what I think about, emotions and stuff. Because there's a lot of ways to get out of my body. You come out my ass, come out my mouth, ears. But there must be something. There must be something special about emotions. If the way that they have to get out of your body is they have to crawl out of your eyes via water and salt. Which are the two, which I think, look, bottom line, water, salt, sunlight, that's what it all is out here. That's the bottom line. If you crack me open with a baseball bat, or if a couple of Vietnamese dudes kick me open, I bet that at the end of it all, that you break me all the way down and I'm just water and salt and sunlight. I bet we all are. But there must be something special about emotion. If the way that it gets out of you, think about, dude, you have pores all over your body. Whatever those feelings are, when you feel something and it emotes out of your eyeballs via salt water. That's the dark arts right there. It's a beautiful dark art, but that is a dark art. I'm thinking, it has to cry. Dude, it could come out of any of your pores, ears, eyes, butt, wiener. What if you cried out of your wiener? Imagine that, dude. Imagine, dude, some kid, he's just all pissed, and his dad's about to come whoop him because he stole something. Maybe he stole a couple of, extra, cuts of cabbage or something. They were doing cabbage soup, and he snuck up by the cutting board and just grabbed 2 little cuts of cabbage and ran off to his room and just fucking, rabbit faced those bitches into his belly. And now his daddy's pissed, and he knows his daddy's about to whoop him. And he's just sitting there, and he's got to cry. But how he does it, he just breaks his wiener out and just straight up just tears up right out into a beautiful stream, just a beautiful stream of sadness flying out of his wiener right out the window. I mean, could you imagine? But that's not how it works. You don't feel sad and then, and then tears come out of your butt. That's not how it works. There's something that happens inside of you when you feel something emotional where it climbs up out of your chest, through your throat, and comes out your the potholes to your soul, baby. It's pretty powerful, man. It's powerful stuff. So, and I know I get into my feelings sometimes, dude. I just didn't have them a lot growing up, and I think I'm just kind of grateful to have some of them now. But thank you guys so much for being here with me, man. And thanks for anybody that checked out being on there with Joe Rogan. Man, I just can't, it's just fun. Man, it just was fun, dude. It's fun. You go in there and they got this scary, they got like a mountain cat. I don't know what they killed, dude, but he kills everything. He could kill. I mean, dude, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, dude, I looked him in the eyes at one point and I asked him, I don't know if I asked him if he'd been outer space or if he, if he knows, if the government tried to get to him, and he said no to me. And I believe him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a shuttle or something. Dude, he could be out there hunting fucking space bears. Would you be shocked? Would you be shocked if Rogan showed up in a damn space bear fur coat? I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be, man. I wouldn't be at all. And if we got to send anybody into space to do it, I'd send him. I'd send him 100%. He's kind of like the leader. But anyhow, man, yeah, I don't know why I'm just kind of rambling on that. I guess it's just on my mind and heart. And then a lot of people were asking me. Yeah, and it's like, but the best was, is it underground? That was the best. That was the best thing I've heard. So thank you to whoever sent that in to me. Today's episode is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. And Ridge Wallet is, a lot of times you see a man and you see their butt. And a woman too, and sometimes a hardy lesbian, they want to roll like this. And you see their butt, but you also see something on their butt. You're like, what is that on their butt? It's like their butt has just like something on it. And that's a wallet that's in their pants. But it's weird, And so now you got the new Ridge Wallet, and that's that front pocket carry. And this is that beautiful hitter. And the thing is you put your stuff in here and you carry it with you. You don't have this big old Galapagos turtle living on your ass cheek like you used to with that old wallet. And dude, think about what's in your wallet. You got that picture of your girl you used to, bust down on back in the day, 8th grade. You got headshots. You got Olin Mills picture. What the fuck are you doing? You got them condoms you ain't never used, bruh. And you're married now. You've been married for a decade. Get rid of that junk. Get rid of that old specimen, that old petri dish you carrying around. That thing smells. Smell your wallet. Come on. So now you got that new front pocket carry. That's ridgewallet.com/Theo. It's 10% off. Look, man, go check it out. And I didn't like mine at first. I'll be honest with you. First 3 days, I was like, ugh. Since then, all 58 days since then. Complete savagery, bruh. Enjoying my life being in my front pocket carry, bruh. What's in your carry? I want to remind you to check out My West Coast Buds. That's a new podcast, and that's by Joe DeMayo. And Joe is he's kind of a connoisseur. He's like an everyday man sort of connoisseur. He likes cannabis, coffee, he likes comedy, and he likes spirits. And I'm not talking ghosts, I'm talking about alcohol. He likes, unless a fucking Grim Reaper shows up with a shot of gin, then maybe he likes it all. And he is a unique character, and he owns a dispensary in Tigard, Oregon called Coral Cove. And Joe will talk to you about everything that he goes through up there and what it's like making whiskey, making jokes, a lot of how-to. It's kind of an inside baseball look at those industries, selling dope, doing all of that. So check it out. We'll have the link below, and that's My West Coast Buds. What else is going on, man? Let's get into some other things. I'll tell you about something. They had that school shooting. I know people don't like thinking about it, but I was thinking about more like, and God bless everybody. And, that, if you have a family member or anything that's, had to deal with that or any of these, it's becoming such a commonplace thing. And I was talking to one of our producers, Nick, earlier. And he, And Nick's a beautiful young man. He might have been a premature baby, but that's, he could. And I don't know if you ever shake being a premature baby, but I think he's mastered as well as any man could. He's a, handsome young fella. And anyhow, what happened, I was talking to him and he was saying, well, once something happened, because it's like, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? And one of the things is once something happens the first time, then it happens more. Like, and the more I think about it, like, yes, I think it has a great deal to do with mental health. Yes, I think that these high profile, fast action assault rifles and shit, I think that I don't know if we need those. I've never seen a hunter have like 1,100 deer running at him, with pistols on their hoofs, you don't have 70 raccoons, coming down on parachutes. You don't have any, on them raccoon shoots just dropping down and you got to mow them all out. We don't have that. So it's like, do we need that? I go back to the old days. So you got to load and show. And that seems more, fair. But, but anyway, our producer, Nick, I was talking to him, he was saying, I think it's because once it happens once, then other people see it. And kids do what caused the most harm, I guess. A sick anyone will think that way. I think you didn't see it a lot in the past because it hadn't been done yet. You don't see somebody learn to juggle or try juggling until somebody else, been working with magic balls in the air. And once it's done that first time, then you see more of it. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. Why does this keep happening? Because it's happened once. And people see the effect and they see, you have a kid that's probably somewhere inside of himself is mentally broken or so broken. And he just, and the devil gets him and he wants to do bad. And he wants to, he doesn't see any difference in making other people outside of him feel the pain that he feels inside of himself. He can't differentiate between if that's okay or if that's not okay. Or maybe he just thinks it is okay. Maybe he thinks, or I hurt so bad that everyone should hurt. And so he busts down like that. But yeah, I don't think we need these high powered weapons. What? Or also, how about that little liaison period from when you want the weapon to when you get the weapon? How about that? Let's give a little more time. Look, there's no reason that I need a passport sometimes immediately. I get that. You need that passport within 3 days. You got a surprise trip. You leaving. But I can't think of a super good reason that I need an AR-15 by Thursday. Can't think of one. And if I do have a reason, there's nothing logical as to why that couldn't wait another week. So it's just horrific and it's tragic. And, young people are mimics and they do what they see. They little monkeys. Young people are little monkeys and they do what they see. And so I didn't mean to bring it down by talking about that stuff, but I know down there in Texas, we have a lot of listeners in Texas and Texas is one of my favorite states. I mean, Texas is the kind of state where you show up and you do your work and you live your life. And you show respect and other people show respect, and that's how life is. And I've always loved Texas. And it's just a tragedy to see some of this kind of stuff just continue to happen. But I've said before, we should have classes. There should be a class. I don't give a fuck about social studies. I don't give a shit about spelling. There should be classes in school where you learn to express your feelings and let other people express their feelings and how you work together on that. And how you can just know if you are talking to a friend, if they're okay or not. Or how if you're not okay, you could try to share some of that shit, man. And I know some of this stuff might sound like weakness and everything, but I don't think it is. I think it's the toughest thing you can do is, teach young people how to be vulnerable and help them learn. Cause fuck, dude, I got to do this. I'm in these programs now and I'm doing this shit now and I'm 38, bro. I'm a straight up adult. You want to catch me in 40 years, bro? You can catch me in the G yard, son. I'll be 6 feet down. A couple brothers throwing dirt on me, shoveling out. I'll be trying to crawl through the dirt, just bones only, trying to catch a little bit of, marrow out of some maybe sweet gal that's about, a couple plots over. Cause I'm going to be that dark artist when I'm in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? Just cause I'm in the grave doesn't mean I'm not going to be, trying to get out there and get a little bit of, Cossacks or a little bit of, tailbone or not tailbone, but, is there any bones in the vagina? You know what I'm saying? I don't think vagina bone. What is it? Damn, I don't know, dude. I think I felt a bone down there or something before. Not like but I think there's, what's holding the vagina up? Some kind of bone? Whatever that is, boy, I'll be peeking out of ant farms and stuff. Once I'm buried, I'm not done. And I'm not going to be a ghost boy. I'm going to be that underground rattler. I'm going to be down there just sifting through sand face first. Can you believe that's the most gangster thing about snakes, dude? They go face fucking first through the dirt. What? Dude, I lose my shit if I walk into a cobweb. A snake do face first forever. Wherever they go. They do not have that fear in them. They are the devil's phalanges, and you know that. And I know some people like them and stuff like that, but every now and then a snake chokes out an old lady in Tucson. That's once a month. A snake will put a senior citizen into a hard scarf. A snake will just drop that hard scarf on a senior citizen, and next thing you know, they wake up in heaven. So a snake is a very dangerous animal. What else? What else is going on, man? I'm still on paleo's diet. And, dude, it's getting easier. It's getting easier, and I feel better. And, I talked about it last week, but I don't have any body gas, dude. I could count on 2 fingers the number of times that I've had body gas. And that's been truly beautiful. Because, look, dude, I had gas for years. To be honest with you, probably most of my life. And it's fun. I get it. Sometimes, changing the whole environment of a room with a secret weapon is exciting. I'm not going to say that shit isn't exciting, dude. It's like having David Blaine fucking pop up out of your butt. Suddenly everybody doesn't know what the hell stinks or who did it. It's like Agatha Christie is straight up living in your asshole, bro. That's straight up, that's beautiful, making mysteries like that. Just making air mysteries. But it's nice to not have that. It's nice to not be chatting with somebody and you can't even think because, dude, at a certain point, and I know this is probably a little grotesque and below some people's education level. And if it is, then fucking take a hike because I'm smart too. But maybe I'm just not talking about, glacier melt right now. Maybe I'm not talking about, birds, how long birds' beaks are, or the NASDAQ. Maybe I'm just talking about regular life. But it's crazy, dude. I noticed this for me. When I used to have body gas a lot, if I had in your stomach a fart, we'll call it a fart because I don't know if they have a better term for it yet. But a fart it almost starts to develop a brain a little bit because you're like, damn, this thing, it's like thinking because you got it. You got it. Nobody knows you got it. And it starts to know it got you at some point. When it gets close to that cliff, it starts to know that it's in control. And you start to feel it think a little bit. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about fart think. And I think that's a real condition. I think that's a real condition for the future. What else is happening, man? What else can we talk about? Oh, look, man, a lot of things have happened. We had a lot of beautiful voicemails that came in. And I'm going to get to those, some of those. We'll go through them. We'll keep talking about other stuff. You know, it was just a crazy week, you know, getting to go in and talk with Joe and just, you know, just be around somebody that I just look up to and that I watch on stage, and that, you know, he inspires me sometimes to be fearless and to say what I think. And especially in Hollywood, you know, this place doesn't want you saying what you think. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, sometimes I mean, I'm happy to be here and I want to work in this industry, but it's, you know, it's crazy to me. I mean, yeah, I just even look at like how Hollywood is suddenly like, you know, and suddenly it's like, so it's all about diversity, you know, but 2 years ago, black people had to beg to be on the Academy Awards, you know, and that's not the kind of, they're just, I don't know. I just don't trust this industry sometimes. And maybe that's just business and I need to ball up a little bit, and that's fine. Look, I'm out here to learn. I don't know. I'm out here to learn. Let's take this call that came in about their weekend. You know, every week you can call and leave a voicemail on the hotline. The hotline is 985-664-9503. And that hotline mostly has all types of things people calling. And look, I can't even tell you how many calls we get. A lot. And that doesn't mean that we don't care. It's just hard to sometimes get back to all of them. Some of them are people, you know, yerking off, and you know, there's a couple of voicemails, people fucking couples and men only and everything happening. People, some lady's training, I don't want to say parakeets, but it sounds like parakeets, or she has you know, twins with like real high pitched voices or something that are, I don't know if they're eating seed or something. It sounds hella sketchy, bruh. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there. It's just not even real stuff, but we go through it all. You know, and some things we can get to and some things we can't. If you call and left a voicemail, don't feel bad. It's not a rejection. It's just, you know, right now it didn't fit into the episode, or maybe we'll do it in the future, or maybe call back at some other time. But thank you for everybody that's called or texted. What do I want to do? Oh, I want to play. Every week you can call and let me know if you had a great weekend or a bad weekend. Let us know how it was. And each we'll play some every week, and we'll put a contest winner at the end of each month for this past week and how it was, great, bad, whatever. Here's a weekend story that came in right here.
Hey, what's up, Theo? I'm a college student. I'm studying biology, and I've been supporting myself by working a third shift at a gas station, kind of in the ghetto of the city my college is in.
Dang, dude. Good luck, man. That sounds like a place where people get murdered a lot. No offense. And I hope you know, and I hope everything's good with you, especially since you're still in college. Biology, man. That biology was crazy, dude. Remember biology? You didn't know anything. Next thing you know, you're cutting into a frog. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you're running around with a frog heart on your fingertips and showing it to the ladies. Every answer in biology, mitochondria. That was the answer on every test. It was all mitochondria. Sometimes it was cytoplasm. Boom. If you are in 7th grade and you are still looking for answers, that's the answer to everyone. Thank you for calling, young brother. Onward.
And it's usually all right, but last night about 6 guys came in, and they just bought a gas can and put like 2 gallons of gasoline in it, and they seem really calm, real chill, man.
Oh, and that's sketchy, man. When you show up and you just get that gas can, gas only, that means you're out of gas, or that's arson. And a lot of times when arson happens, you know, that's either insurance money or somebody has like a sleeping family member or something, and they're about to change the game, and they're about to, you know, really just change it all and maybe end up on Dateline. Let's hear more.
Nice guys when they left, but they came back like 2 hours later, just high as fuck, probably on meth. They were freaking out.
Probably on meth or probably on gas, dude. I remember on Halloween one time we ate some mushrooms, you know, some of them beautiful little fucking land creatures. And one of my buddies, Todd, tried to drink some gasoline and had to go actually to the, I guess he went to the emergency room. But let's hear more.
And they were trying to return the gas can because it was like $12, but the store policy is you can't return gas cans once there's been gas in them. So they were like yelling at me and talking all at once, saying they were going to stab me if I didn't, and cut my head off and shit. And
Damn, cut your head off, bro. That's a Greyhound bus move, bro. That's a finishing move on the Greyhound bus version of Mortal Kombat. And I don't know what the cheat code is to open that up, but let's hear more.
You know, I was a Marine out of high school, so I'm not afraid of any man, but, you know, 6 make me really concerned.
Semper Fi. Do you hear that confidence in that man's voice right there? Dude, that's the kind of stuff that I wish I had, man. Just hearing you say that, I'm a Marine, so I'm not worried about any man. But 6 of them make me concerned. That's gangster, dude. That's awesome, man. Thanks for your service. I got to, you know, I was fortunate enough to get to go do some tours, of just as a comedian, and we went to, you know, I think I maybe did 5 or 6, you know, trips overseas, and you go on those bases, boy, and look, Navy does their thing, Air Force does their thing, Army does their thing, but when the Marines show up, they go first. Marines go first, man. And it's just, you know, impressive group. Let's hear more, bro. This sounds like it's not going well, bro. Those dudes want that $12 back. And when you got that policy, let's hear more. No gas. Once you got gas in the can, that's yo can.
They ended up yelling at me for the gas can for a little bit more, and they bought like $400 of random gas station food shit and like a lot of lottery tickets. A fuck ton of them. And they ended up leaving on their own. Oh,
lottery tickets. That's, I mean, yeah, if you're huffing gas, bro, you'll definitely, you know, you'll take a chance to win $500,000, dude, by just scratching on something. Because if you're huffing gas, you usually used to scratching your skin. You used to just you'll scratch your own chest hair off. You know, you'll have just a little, you know, kind of bloody ball of fur and hair and skin. But, so yeah, lottery tickets, I mean, that's a methamphetamine. I mean, that's, you know, that's everything. That's a full-time job for a methamphetamine addict, because they got the itch in them naturally, and now they're putting it to work for that chance at, you know, $50,000 paid over 100 weeks. Let's hear more.
Spent like $400, $500 on them, and then they left, told me I was a fuck, and you know, that was my weekend.
They left and told you were a fuck. That's hilarious, bro. Well, look, man, I commend you, dude, working in the, you know, in a tough neighborhood in the ghetto. I mean, I don't know if it's the ghetto. You said it's a shady neighborhood, but I commend you, dude, because that's a tough area a lot of times. People out there, you know, eating honey buns and drinking fucking diesel. You know, you get a couple of, you know, young soldiers hopped up on some 91 octane, you know, and next thing you know, they want a fucking fist fight, and you just trying to mop. You know, you just trying to fucking, you know, you could just you got a brain, you just had a brain freeze because you're on your 9th slushy, and you back there brain freezing trying to fucking push that hot mop around. And these Muppets are straight up, they come in all jawed up. You know, one of them just lit a cigarette, forgot he's drinking gas, and now he's one of the flaming lips, and shit gets fiasco time, and everybody wants Fritos. Dude, it's savage out there, man, and I commend you for working on the front lines. That's the front lines of American war right there. The man that's working overnight, trying to make it through school, trying to learn about biology, and just fending off straight fucking night Muppets, trying to get that $12 back. Gang, gang, baby. Take care of yourself out there. Thanks for calling. I appreciate that, man. I remember, did I ever work at a gas station? No. One time my buddy got sick, and he worked at a gas station, and he's like, dude, I need you to take my shift. And I'd never worked there. And I went and I did it, man. You know, I think I stole about $30, dude. And I stole almost so many Otis Spunkmeyer cookies, dude. I fucking was sick. In the morning, dude, come sunrise, I was sick to my stomach. But that was fun. You know, those are the good old days. Let's take another call, man. What do we got here? Onward.
Hi, this is Ellen calling in from Virginia Beach, and this is some advice for Nicole, who's dealing with an alcoholic boyfriend.
Oh yeah, we had we got a response from last week's call. This is for Nicole dealing with an alcoholic boyfriend. She called at the end of last week's episode. Let's hear more. Thanks for calling, Ellen.
Nicole, You're in a life or death situation right now, and this is what you need to do. You need to get on the phone, and you need to find a place where you can take your boyfriend, where he can go through a medical detox. If he tries to do it by himself, he can have seizures. He can die from alcohol poisoning. He cannot do this alone. He needs a medical professional. And with that being said, he also needs to get to an AA meeting as soon as possible. There are intergroup numbers all over the country that you can call, and there are also apps where you can find the closest meeting to you. Have him get a sponsor, have him get the big book, have him do 90 meetings in 90 days, and get serious, get committed about your future with him if you still think that there is one. And let me tell you something. I speak from experience. I was living in Las Vegas for almost 3 years.
Ooh, that sounds hellish right there, boy. Las Vegas, dude, anything could happen out there. You know, you put it all on the table. You know, they got women wearing those hats with the feathers on them. You can get fucking, you know, you're like peacocks trying to fuck you because they think, you know, it's false advertising you're running around with on your dome. They got escorts, cocaine, bruh. And the cocaine's good because there's no humidity in the air. Cocaine will keep. Let me tell you that. That shit will keep out on a counter as long as the humidity's down. And you keep the air conditioner off and no ceiling fans, boy. Great way to end a cocaine party is somebody just fucking flipping on the fan switch. But let's hear a little more advice. Thank you for calling in about this, Ellen.
3 years with a fighter pilot, and he was also a poker professional. And I had to leave. I left the relationship. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. To this day, I still cry about it. But I look back on it now, and I just think about where would I have been if I'd have stayed with him?
And that's the truth. You know, you got to think about yourself long term there. You know, she's calling with Laura had some issues last week. And look, you know, Ellen, I know you're telling her you need to get this, you know, your man to a meeting and you need to get him to a professional. He needs to get himself. You know, and I'm not discrediting what you're saying. These are all great suggestions, Ellen, you know, especially from a woman that's been there. But he needs to get himself, and she needs to get herself some help. You know, she needs to get to some Al-Anon meetings, or she needs to get in a better place where, you know, there's codependency meetings. And these are suggestions. Look, I'm not a lady. You know, I never had a man that, you know, loved me and would just also maybe took advantage of my love because he wanted to do dope and not take care of himself. I never had that. But, you know, but I know that you can't, you know, people will have to want to help themselves, and that you can only help so much. And when Nicole called in, she sounded really at her wit's end. So, but look, you heard her from another lady. Nicole, you got to start taking care of yourself and get that man in a detox, and he needs to take care of himself. Because if one of y'all ain't taking care of yourselves, then what's y'all going to do? Neither one of y'all is taking care of yourselves. You both going to figure it out? Fuck that. Fuck that. I'll be honest with you. Because look, I'll tell you what happened. I saw two mentally challenged people making out one time at a stoplight. Outdoors, not in a vehicle. And I called the police. And I regret it sometimes. But I could tell, man, I've spent time, dude. You know, one of my best friends growing up had Down syndrome. I've spent time around, you know, I've spent people that are mentally lit, you know, some of God's favorites. I've been around. And some of them will fuck. Some of them want to party. They're just like us. You know, they got that limbic system just like us. They got, you know, the dirty, dark arts just dangling off the, you know, the base of their spine. In the base of their brain, that, you know, that little brain stem, that thing's lit up with just, you know, eggplant emojis and, you know, little umbrellas with semen emojis hitting the top of them. And so they want to party just like us. And I could tell that these two at the stoplight they were thinking about sex. And so I called the police. And the lady said, well, why? What is this about? And I said, well, if those two people make a child, the chances of that child being comfortable and well in its own skin, probably not super great. And I know that's me jumping to conclusions. That might be me playing a little bit of, moderator in the universe. But it's just like, if they can't help themselves, if they're not in a place where they can be super well themselves, then they can only do so much together, those two people at that stoplight. And they can kiss and hug and pleasure each other and that kind of thing. But when it comes to, we're going to start something new together, we're going to start a small business, or we're going to make a child, I don't know. I don't know if that's the best move. And that's just where I see you at a little bit, Laura. And thank you, Ellen, for calling in and giving some suggestions to her. This is the first time we've ever had it. We have a video call that came in, and this is on Live Raise, and the link will be in our information below. And this is via their fan line. And Saturday I did a chat on Live Raise, and the cool thing about Live Raise is you can submit questions, video questions. So you can submit a question on there. When I'm on live, you can submit a question. It goes to the fan line. It's a video question where you can ask whatever you want, and then we can take those questions and we can put them onto the show. So I'll be going on next Saturday again, and you'll be able to get on there and submit video questions and get them onto the show. And we have our first one ever. And let's get to it right here. Here we go. You'll be able to hear it on the audio, and you'll be able to see it on YouTube. This is our first ever Live Raise video question via their fan line. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. Longtime fan. First.
Wow. And look, some of you guys heard that voice. You might think this man is a beautiful urban gentleman. That beautiful mahogany superhero. It's not. This boy, man, he looks like Chef Boyardee's kind of grandson a little bit. That, used to sell grams, but also makes a mean fucking ratatouille. You know what I'm saying? This boy looks like he looks like the real deal. Let's hear it. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. Longtime fan, first time caller.
God, what did he eat? Detroit, man? Dude, he has so much soul. He has so much sultry soul in his voice. Man. Yeah, let's hear more.
I'm just wondering, what's the right amount of shrooms to take when you go and see Joey Coco Diaz? I just saw him. I dropped an eighth.
Wow. Man, I'll say this. Joey Coco Diaz is there's nothing like him. It's like getting to be in the middle of a tornado, but the tornado is made out of joy and laughter and fun. And you know that Joey's heart is so good that no matter what he says, that it's edgy and fun and whatever, and you know it's real to him, but you know that his heart is good. So you know that he's joking. And it just hits you at a core of what's wrong with a lot of our world today. Is that everybody just goes on what people say but nobody's at all looking at where people's hearts are at. And you can tell it immediately. You could tell where people's hearts are. It's the easiest thing to tell. And Coco Diaz's heart it's in the right spot, baby. I mean, it's almost like, who's that John Wilkes Booth or something? Who's that famous designer? Or, guy that does buildings. Who draws buildings? Frank Lloyd Webber. It's almost like Frank Lloyd Webber designed exactly where to put Coco Diaz's heart. So everything in there is fun because he's coming from a place of good. And so no matter what he says, it's fun, and it's fun for everybody. And man, taking shrooms on it, whoo, I don't know. But you said, bro, you had fun, man. You guys got to see this guy. If you look at him on the YouTube, man, he's a beautiful guy. This guy's beautiful, and he went in there shroomed up. This sultry gentleman right here, he went in there shroomed up and got it done. I couldn't take any, but I'm glad you did, man. I'm glad you went there. I bet it's a beautiful way to see Diaz. Because it's almost like, when you're on mushrooms, you want to see something natural. You want to see something real that came out of the universe. You want to see something special. And Joey Diaz is the only comedian ever. I was talking with Joe Rogan about this the other day. The only comedian ever where I found myself standing out of my seat, cheering and laughing at the same time. Like it's fucking 1910 and a warship with my dad just came back to the shore in San Diego. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd never done anything like that in my life. Out of my seat, cheering. What? And I was doing that, and I was living like that because he has a special gift. And Joe Rogan says this a lot. It's like, what is people's intention? That's what matters. What is somebody's intention? Because that's what's killing comedy. And the truth is, I don't think things are killing it anymore. I think you have guys like, you have guys who are funny with good hearts, who are out there fighting every day for comedy to be based on intention. And I think that it's coming back around. And that's why I follow, guys that I follow. And that's why I look up to guys that I look up to, because they're pioneers. This old shit of being offended by everything, that shit is done, bro. You want to live there? Then you choose to live there. That's a choice. Oh, somebody can't say this. People can say whatever they want. What's their intention? Look, you want to use a racial slur? Go use it, but go use it around that race. See how that works out for you. Dude, I grew up in the South, man. You want to drop an N-bomb around somebody that might have a different skin tone than you? You're going to learn really fast that that's not a comfortable choice. Because people know people's intention. Intention, man, that's what, and that's where I'm trying to live. And that's where these guys live, man. So Coco Diaz, I don't care if you saw him and you were on your last leg. I don't care if you out there, drinking bone marrow out of a can because you might not make it. Any condition you see him in, that's a beautiful condition. But that 1/8, boy, woo. That sounds good, bruh. That's what I like about them mushrooms, boy. When I used to eat them mushrooms, dude, you start fucking looking for yourself. And that's crazy because you are yourself. And that's a beautiful treat. Let's go to another call that came in. Thank you guys for calling. And thank you for that live raised fan line question. You can do those now. And so we just want to add another element to the YouTube where people can see what's going on. And that's live raise. You can check out their app, check them out through Instagram, and we'll have the link below. And that way on Saturday when I go live, I'll let you know when I'm doing that. I'll put it in my Instagram story. You can jump on there and submit a question. And I won't answer it then, but I will answer it on next Monday's episode. Here we go. Another follow-up call from last week's episode of this past weekend.
Yeah, this is Kevin from New Jersey calling about the dude who his sister, 19-year-old's banging the 39-year-old dude.
Yep. We had that call last week. The gentleman called. His sister was 19 and dating a 39-year-old. Onward.
I think for sure he needs to beat his ass. He needs to put a stop to that. That's definitely the dark arts. And just the fact that he's got to call the hotline and ask for suggestions is kind of questionable, but...
Yeah, yeah. You would think for most people it is questionable, Let's hear more, Kevin.
Anyway, that's it. Thanks, man.
You bet, man. Thanks for calling, bro. And that's how they handle it over there in New Jersey. That dude's doing that. You got to tighten that ass up on that dude. 39-year-old, and he's staying up at night and just licking the freckles off of your 19-year-old sister's neck. Dude, I'd beat those freckles out of that man. I think I would, but then look. I look at my own life and I'm like, well, shit. My mother was 32 when I was born. My father was 70. So what is that? Nope, somebody should have probably whooped somebody's ass there, but then I don't even exist. There's different sides to it. There's different worlds. And look, I don't think it was right, probably what my parents did, I think my father was probably looking to, create just more of a legacy, anything to keep him living, to feel like he was living more. And being virile as a senior, when you spraying out and that spray is growing up and going to kindergarten, That's got to make you feel, voracious, and you can keep moving forward. But thank you for calling, Kevin. And shout out to everybody in Jersey, dude. People always look down on New Jersey for different types of shit, man. Fuck that. Jersey's the realest, bruh. You can't even get real in Manhattan anymore. You can't get mugged in Manhattan. Go on. Even the pigeons, bruh. All the dopest pigeons are the ones that'll shit on you. They're all out in Queens now. They've been evicted. All the best pigeons that, them carrier pigeons, every now and then you see a pigeon with a fucking gram of blow in its mouth. One of them little freaking short baggies. You can't even see that in Manhattan anymore. That shit, so it's the elites. Elites only. That's what they should call Manhattan. You can't find you can't find a poor person in Manhattan. That's for rich only, bruh. You can come visit. You could ride the big bus through the middle, that double decker. But if you can't get shit on by a real bird anymore. You can't even get stabbed in Manhattan. Dude, when I was the first time I went to New York, dude, I dropped a dildo in a damn bodega. And, and shit got weird after that or whatever, before that. But that was Manhattan. I saw they had a dude jumped off a building back in the day when I was there. And they had a senior citizen lady out there with this skirt on. And she goes, "Did you see it?" And I'm like, "Did I see the guy?" She goes, "Did you see it?" I'm like, did I see what? The guy jump off the building? And then she straight up showed me that bird holster, bruh. This lady just showed me her crotch out of the blue. And I was like, what? And that was New York. That was Manhattan. Now you want to get real, you better go into the boroughs. You better go in Brooklyn. That shit, it's real, but is it? You can't find any newsies out there. Where the newsies at? They're all out in Queens now. Bronx. Fat Joe country. They're all out in Hasbrook Heights. They're out there. They're out there in New Jersey. That's where they're at. All them real boys moving out. It's for the elites, bruh. Is it? Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Have you thought about that? Think about that as well. All right, let's get to another call here. Here we go.
Hey, what's going on, Theo? This is Rico here from Downey, California.
What's up, Rico, out there in Downey? And I've been out there by Downey before. I ran out of gas out there one time. And a man, this is, where I think it could have honestly was one of those people at a service station. It could have been a man, could have been a woman. They were real, they had a lot of dirt and, smog had really heavily affected by the smog in their hair and everything and pores. So anyhow, a man or woman tried to climb in my sunroof, dude. And I was fending them out. And then all they wanted was a hit of my big gulp. So I fucking gave, this person a hit of that big gulp. And then they gave it back to me. And then I'm like, well, what the fuck? I don't want it anymore. So I rolled down the window and gave it to him full. And so that's, I think, a lot of time a trick sometimes of these, I guess these are just kind of soda pop spies, really, because they spy and they see somebody hitting a big gulp and they come in through the sunroof. And then they get that sip and then they know you're not going to want the rest of it. But anyhow, I got taken advantage of. Thank you for calling, Rico. Onward.
Just listening. I wanted to call in about our old boy who has a 19-year-old sister. Fuck, dating that, 39, 35-year-old man. I tell you what, man. I got a sister. She's almost 17 years old. And if I found out, she was dating some guy that was 39, I'd call him up. Hey, man, I need to see you, and we need to have a face-to-face, a man-to-man conversation.
There you go, right there. Now, that's a good point. That's a really good point. And this makes me think, too, even back to my own existence. My mother was 32, so that's different. This is a 19-year-old. My mother was 32, making at least 32-year-old female choices. Let's hear more.
And when he met me to have that conversation, look, I'm 23 years old. I meet him up. I tell him, hey, man, I'm trying my best. Everything in my body tells me to whip your ass right here, right now. Everything in my body wants to put a little jujitsu on your neck and snap that shit, brother.
Damn, boy. They change it, man. They switching up vertebrae, dude. Dude, Rico's about to play Jenga with somebody's vertebrae over there. Let's hear more.
But tell him, look, man, she's not even out of her teens yet, bro. Not even out of her teens yet. And you got some fucking old, saggy, bald, wrinkly fucking body, no hair, 'cause he's losing it all, motherfucker, hollering at your little sister? No way. Tell him he'd never be welcome into the family. He'd never even, don't tell him never to be comfortable around me. Don't ever be comfortable around me, and it's gotta end, and you can't control her, and you can't control him. But let him know he will never be welcome in that family. In that family.
Wow. There you go. And I love that line that you said, you never be comfortable around me. Oh, that's a savage line right there. You know, and that's a respect to a level of respect. And you know, it's also showing up and it's showing respect. You're not whipping the dude's ass, but you're letting him know point blank, you do not ever be comfortable around me. You know, and that brings me back, you know, my sister and my brother used to live together for a little while. And man, my sister dated all kind of wild cats. And I think that just in our family, we've dated, you know, we don't date well. And one time a man showed up and honked the horn. You know, this man my sister was dating. And boy, my brother ran out there and he told that man to get the fuck out of there. He said, you're going to come and pick my sister up for a date. You're going to come in and you're going to come to the door and you're going to knock. And that was, you know, that's the kind of thing that needs to happen. That's the kind of thing that needs to be done. You know, as men, we have to, you know, we have to embrace our sisters and we have to hold them up. You know, we have to get out of our own lives sometimes, out of what's going on with us, and hold men that they spend time with accountable. You know, because I mean, my sister she got really, you know, abused and stuff like this by men that she dated. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm not trying to put her story out there or anything like that. Maybe she'll come on one day, you know, but she got, you know, and this happens to a lot of women out there. But, and I didn't know my sister then, we weren't close, but, you know, as men, we have to do that. You know, sometimes we want to not get along with our sister, and that shit's fine. You can not get along with our sister. This is what I'm learning. But at the same time, I can still be a brother. I can still be a brother. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was saying that his father wasn't good to him. He goes, but just because my father wasn't good to me doesn't mean that I couldn't be a good son to him. Because I still have my own responsibilities. Because then years later, my father might leave the earth or whatever, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, he was never good to me. And also I'm thinking, wow, I was never good to him. And sure, you could be like, oh, well, you know, you weren't good to him because he wasn't good to you. But that's where we all fuck up, or that's where I fuck up anyway. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said we all, because I don't know. I don't know other people's lives, but I know that's where I fuck up. When I think that because somebody did something to me, then I should do it to them. But no, what I do is who I am. And sometimes you show somebody enough love, you know, you show them what's real, and that's how they learn it. You think if somebody's a dick to you, you're a dick back to them, they're going to fucking learn anything else than being a dick? Sure, you got to be the bigger person, but that's, you know, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't mean to go, I don't know. I'm just like, I think about that shit with the president a lot, with Trump. You know, like I think, I've never been a political man. You know, I think I've never trusted any of these politics. I think we have some of the same problems, and I think the problems are us. I think the problems are humans. I think we're getting in this world right now where there's a lot of humans that don't want to even really be, they're not even doing anything. Some people ain't doing nothing. And you got other people that want to do something, that want to move, that want to do stuff. And I think sometimes it's like, But and you have these networks and these people that just hate Donald Trump so much. I'm like, what are you teaching this man? What are you teaching him? And I don't hate him. I think he's an egomaniac. I think all politicians are. There's no way you get into that. I don't think with having, first of all, you have to have a big ego. And that can be okay. But that can also be extremely fucking dangerous, bro. The ego, it reminds me of that volcano in Hawaii. That thing's always trying to sneak lava out the side. You think there's nothing that scares me more than ego. It scares me every day I wake up. Scared that my brain is going to trick me into thinking certain things about myself that are not going to be good for me. But I think that about, it's just like how much, so much hatred. Like, who's solving anything with all that shit? All of that shit, man. It's just like, does anybody really hate somebody as much as all these news are? It's just like, really? Go to fucking work. None of these politicians have ever affected my life. Ever. I never even seen any of them. I don't think. I thought I saw one of them one time at the airport. I don't know who it was. Onward. What else, man? Thanks for calling, Rico. Let's hear a little, let's take another call here. This is Dalton.
Hey, Theo. It's Dalton from Virginia.
Wow, that's a wild name, Dalton, bro. I never heard of it before. And that's a risky name, too, if somebody call you Dolt, because that don't mean, that means not super, keen to what's happening. But whatever, bro. Fuck yeah. That's a great name, dude, because now you're changing that shit. That's like, saying my name's Skimpy. And people are like, are you Skimpy? You're like, no, baby, I'm fucking thick. You're like, oh, okay. So Skimpy's doing something different with it all. Let's hear more, Dolt.
This is in response to The Secret, the gentleman who wrote in. But on to that, I just wanted to share a little quick personal thing that happened, part of my family. Not real close to my family, but I just know the story. My dad's brother, married 20, 30 some years, 3, 4 kids. One day got a knock at their door, and it was a lady, about 28 years old. Was like, I think you might be my father. And so just showed up out of nowhere. They sat down and kind of went through the timeline. And, sure enough, we had been traveling at some point, however, 28 some years ago, and had gotten a lady pregnant over, I guess, in Japan or something like that.
Damn. That's wild, man. And look, I'll be honest, it would be hard to go to Japan and probably not try to bust a nut somewhere. Think about that. I mean, I remember being young and I was traveling around a good bit and I would want to bust nuts on all these continents, And I remember one night falling asleep thinking I'm gonna bust a nut on all 40 fucking continents. And then I get up in the morning and there's only 7 continents or 9. And I'm like, wow. I was just going to be jerking off in like 31 other places for no reason. I mean, that would have been crazy. You're out in fucking Guam beating off and people are like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm settling this land. I got a score to settle with Earth. So, but that, that's something impressive, man. That's something impressive, that she just showed up. That had to be a long fucking lunch, boy. What if your dad had just settled down to a sandwich? He made himself his favorite sandwich. The game is on, his fucking favorite game. And then he gets that doorbell ring. He opens it and it's somebody that in his eyes and in his soul, he knows immediately, man, I know her from somewhere, even if he's never met her. And bam, bruh, you got a bonus child. That's crazy. That's crazy. I had a girl reach out to me on Facebook a few years ago, 2 years ago, and she said that we could be half siblings. And we talked on the phone once, and I might try to look her back up, and I've never met her. And maybe she would actually come on here. That'd be a neat guest to have. That would be a super neat guest. But Dalton, let's hear a little bit more. Here we go.
However, 28 some years ago, and had gotten a lady pregnant over, I guess, in Japan or something like that. But it messed things up for a little bit. People were a little weird for maybe a day or two. But that's not that long if you think about it. And she's a great part of the family now. I know they have her over all the time. She has a kid too that they treat, just like one of the grandkids from the beginning. It's a fantastic thing now. I know that's a little bit different of a situation, but maybe that experience helped you guys out. I guess you really just never know until you do something about it.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. Look, and people, I think, yeah, there's that hiccup in the beginning, usually with most things, but then most people want to love. Most people want other people in their life. I think about sometimes I would give anything to have like a brother or a sister that was really young, like a 9-year-old. So, there was a 9-year-old right now. Just to see them be alive and just for me to have that experience and watch them be a human and become a human. And, I see it some with my nieces and nephews, and that's fine. But it would be really neat to have it as like a brother or a sister, a younger child where I could be a sibling to them in some facet, in a part of their life in some way. Man, that would be, there's just such a blessing, I think, in having children and creating that thing. And you don't even realize, I think when you create a family, you don't even realize probably a lot of the gifts that you're going to create moments that those siblings are going to have between each other that you can't even fathom. You won't even be there to witness, but there'll be beautiful moments. And that's awesome that, somebody showed up at the door. That's that long knock. And you think it's a pizza delivery, and damn, that's that DNA delivery. Is that's DNA Giorno, bruh. That's at the door, bruh. And that's forever. And that's family, bruh. You got an extra large straight up family, dude. Gang, bruh. Where them 2-liter colas at? Remember that? They used to get you on that shit. Pizza Hut. No, Domino's. You'd be like, we got that 2-liter soda. Bro, I remember this one dude, one time we ordered a bunch of pizza to this party, and he came out, he'd been drinking, delivering pizzas, and he skirted off the road because the road was fucking super dangerous. It wasn't even a road. It was just like a place where people would try to drive down it and basically just mostly almost die, and sometimes really die. And this dude slipped off into the woods. Next thing you know, he's at the door, and he's bleeding and stuff like that, and a couple people kept talking to him at the front door, and calling 911 and stuff, and then some other people went around to his car and got the pizzas out. He had like 9 pizzas because this dude was, back in the day, you would leave once and you might be out there delivering for 4 hours. And he also had a bunch of 2-liter sodas that were just spraying everywhere because they'd been in the car accident. And so they were spraying everywhere. So that's one thing that was kind of a beautiful treat about them sodas, is that you could shake them up and you had a little party right there. And you could spray half of it and drink half of it. And that's kind of nice. Let's hear another call. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. It's Alex from Kentucky. I was just calling to comment on the guy who wrote in last week saying that he was a secret. And I want him to know that he ain't alone out there, that I myself was also a secret. My mother and a guy hooked up whenever they were young, had me, and then the guy, like I said, they were just kids, and the guy kind of ran away or whatever. She moved back to Kentucky with me, and met up with who I always thought was my dad, my real dad. I had a little sister who was 5 years younger than me. I never thought anything other until I got the age of about 13. And, of course, small town gossip. The man who raised me wasn't my real father.
Wow. And that's a wild rumor to hear around town. Because, I remember hearing shit like, there's a man that sleeps, outdoors at night without a tent. And I remember hearing shit that, somebody was crossbreeding animals. And you would hear stuff like, there's a woman they had a woman that kept like a rare coin. She had a wig and she would keep a rare coin under it. And so we would always be plotting on ways to get that wig off and, get that treasure. But to hear that, that you got a different family, that's a unique rumor. Let's hear more.
And then right at about that same time, he passed away, wrecked a semi-truck and died.
Damn. That's sad, man. That semi-truck, bro. Those things are fucking dangerous. You get hit by that shit or anything, man, you're fucked up. And they're square in the front. Mostly. Remember the old ones were just straight up square. They didn't even have a nose on them? What the fuck, man? But I'm sorry to hear that, bud. I'm sorry to hear that.
I finally reached out. I have 3 sisters. other than the one I was raised with, and 2 brothers, and I'm the oldest of all of them. They're great people. I finally went up there and met them, got to hang out with them and everything. I never met the dad or whatever. Mike's his name. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Well, look, there you go. You never know. You never know when, and that's a gift. It's a gift. So your family gets bigger and your heart gets bigger and it's a little more unique. It's the same thing with thinking. It's the same thing when, you had an 8 box and now you got that 64 hitter, somebody showed up. And you got fucking new family. You got new senior citizens. They got pets. Look at little Marco, the fucking Chichen Itzas. You got it all. And everything changes, and that's it, man. Sometimes we get so stuck, we don't want to change. And that's one thing, man, I swear to God, dude, I've been thinking about the past couple of days. I'd never thought, just going on a Joe Rogan's podcast and thinking about, and I'm not trying to keep name dropping that. It shook me. I just woke up the next day thinking, wow, what if there's different universes? And what if you met yourself? Would you like yourself? And just my mind was a little more open. And your heart's a little more open when you get that kind of thing, when you get that new family member. Thank you for calling in, man. Let's hear a little, let's hear this, dude. All right, we got this write-in that came in, and this is a text that came into the hotline. Hey, Theo, my name is Zach from Houston. Shout out H-Town. I'm 20. I'm texting from the hotline because I'm having brain surgery on Monday the 21st. I probably should have said procedure because surgery sounds aggressive, but it's not major brain surgery. They ain't cracking my skull open or anything. They're going through my artery to shoot some glue to make this thing stop growing. Damn, I don't know what's growing in your head, bro, but, if it ain't ideas or hope, then it's probably pretty painful. And I'm sorry to hear that, dude. And I appreciate you telling me about this. I don't understand it, but the doctors do, so I'm going to trust them. That's huge. That's huge to trust others. That's big, man. That's a very adult move, man. You say you're 20. That's a very adult move. Because you sitting there just so scared and concerned, and because you don't trust them. That I can only imagine how painful that would be. And so for you to put trust into them, that's very huge, man. I'm going to trust them. The thing is, I'm nervous about is forgetting things or having a stroke, which could happen. It's rare, but it happens. I'm not afraid to die, so I kind of hope I die instead of have a stroke or be disabled. Man, that's brave of you, dude. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Because, look, you might come right back. God might need you right back. Right back Zach. You might be that dude right back Zach. That you live for 20 years and you pop right back. And they need you somewhere else. We need Zach over here. We need him in Wisconsin. We need him in Houston again. We need Zach and Zaire. Like, people are like, damn, Zach's in Zaire. You might have, that might be for you. That might be God's plan for you, bro, or the higher power's plan for you. Whatever you want to think, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. People get skirtish on the God thing. That's 3 letters, baby. That's just the quickest way to say you know what I'm saying. Is something else out there, pushing the pieces, playing the chessboard. But yeah, man, let me read a little bit more. So in case I forget something, I can read this and jog my memory. You really funny. Keep up the podcast and stand up and hope that show gets picked up on Comedy Central. Man, that's so nice of you, dude. Here you are, and he sent this. This came in yesterday. And here you are, you might be on your way out. And you're thinking about me, man. Thank you. When you're thinking about us. You're not just, I know you're thinking about a lot of people, but, you wanted to say you're funny and keep up the podcast and stand up. And I will, man. And look, and I'll be looking out for you. If you go to heaven, man, we'll be looking out for you on the flip side. That's right back, Zach. And if you don't go, then when I come to Houston, man, come out and be my guest, please. And look, I might make you laugh so hard. You might have a stroke then, bro. How crazy would that be, dude? Oh, this is so fucked up. I shouldn't be thinking about this. But we love you, bro. Thanks for reaching out, dude. You have a lot of people thinking about you. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay either way. You're going to be okay either way, man. You sound like you got a huge heart. Okay, and all these calls come out of the hotline, and that's 985-664-9503. Anybody can hit the hotline with responses, suggestions for people, or issues that you're dealing with. If there's anything you're trying to, you're struggling with, or anything you want to think about. But yeah, if there's something you're struggling with, man, you got something in your heart, you got something in your feelings, man, get it out there. Don't keep that inside of you by yourself, because that's what's fucking us, is that we're just afraid to feel, man. We're afraid to be vulnerable. And I am too, and we do it here together. So let's take this next hit here. Bang.
Hey, Theo, long time listener, first time caller here. I heard you say on the Joe Rogan podcast that where you lived in Louisiana, there was a lot of magic mushrooms growing naturally.
Oh, yeah, boy. Oh, yeah.
I was just wondering if you could, maybe follow up on that. How do you identify those mushrooms? Is there like a taste process where maybe it's not like a psilocybin mushroom? So maybe you eat a little bit of shit on accident to try and test it to see if you'll get those effects.
Damn, bro. This sounds like you calling like a 1-900 number. Like this is like some kind of sex line or something about mushrooms. Like you want me to just oh yeah, baby. So what happened was I would take my shoes off, you see, and run out into that damp grass. And right there on the soil, you'd see a big old areola of cow dung. Man, that thing was shining and glistening. And right off the top of it, you would see a beautiful Mágico Mujremo. And that is Latino, brother, for magic mushroom. You know what I'm saying? That David Copperfield that's going to give you them floppy feels, bruh. Man, you had them magic mushrooms. Dude, what do you mean? I ain't out there eating shit, bruh. This ain't a Japanese game show, daddy. This was young bucks out there. And dude, it looks like a magic mushroom. Google that bitch before you just run around a field with your mouth open. Because 96.7% of mushrooms are killers. Okay, that's why when you get that special 3%, it's magic. If you just getting them killers and you snacking on killers, you're going to fall apart. So get out there and get that hitter, man. Get the real thing. And it's beautiful white stem and it's so just succulent looking. I mean, it looks like somebody just poured a tall glass of milk. That's how white the stem is. And then it's got this dirty little skirt, but the skirt doesn't even go down. It just goes straight out on the side. Around the stem, it's just this beautiful little purple skirt. And that's where the fucking magic is, boy. And that's where you feel the fucking Lord just licking the back of your neck when you get those hitters, bro. We ain't out there eating shit, dude. You being wild, boy. You being wild. But thank you for calling, man. Thank you for calling. You want that one? Yeah, and then we put them in our mouths and everything changed. And the world just started, and just the clouds just started dripping out of the sky. And we were catching the drops in our mouths and spitting them onto each other's backs. What you want to hear, man? What do you want to hear? Okay, let's take another call or two. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Theo? This is Jesse. I live out here in Silver Lake. I'm a storyboard artist on Bob's Burgers. So I was at LA Fitness a couple weeks back. Got in there pretty early before work started.
Get in there. More?
So I was finishing up my workout, and I go and get in the shower, and
damn, you took a shower at LA Fitness, dude? Man, that's hectic, baby. More?
They have those soap dispensers that are up on the wall, about 4 feet or so off the ground, and they're clear so you can see inside to the soap.
And what was in it, dude? Semen?
I go and put my hand up underneath it because I'm about to get a couple squirts and lather up.
Damn, dude, you might want to talk to the mushroom, dude. I feel like both you guys trying to meet each other. More?
And I see something's in there, so I look a little closer, and lo and behold, there is a 14-inch, fully intact turd.
Ooh! Ooh! Wow, I didn't expect that, man. Somebody put a turd in the straight-up hand soap dispenser? Ooh, that is an archaic move, bro. That's old school, man. That's back in the, I mean, that's like something you would do like, that's like that old Trojan horse, bro. You think you're getting soap and then, but damn, boy. That's just, you got that, you know, you got that feces, you think you're getting soap and then bam, boy, you got them fecal paws, bro. And that's just, that's pink eye waiting to happen. That's pink eye country you're flirting with. More?
Sitting in the soap dispenser, and it was pretty shocking. I didn't put the soap on my body.
You lie, bruh. You are lying. And look, I love you, man. I appreciate you calling, Jesse, but you have to say that. You can't sit here and tell us the truth, man. Dude, we know what happened. There's no way you went the first time and then put it off. It's the second time you went back when you saw that fucking hitter. When you saw some dude drop that booty hitter into that soap dispenser. My God, I've never heard of this. Bro, where is the FBI? Where's the FDA? More?
I went out there, told the maintenance man that there was shit in the soap dispenser, and he basically stopped me mid-sentence and told me that it's been happening often and that they have a serial shitter. So figured I'd run that one by you and see if you've ever come across any dumps in any weird locations or taken a dump yourself.
Oh, that's a good question, man. Have you ever taken a dump yourself in a weird locale? Well, a lot of people know this. You know, I used to talk about this, or I've told this story. When I was growing up, they had a boy in my neighborhood, and he, you know, named Mario, and he was Italian, bro. Or he said he was anyway, or his parents just pretended he was and named him Mario. And he was even named, I remember, after Super Mario, I think, the video game. So that's bizarre. But anyhow, he would, you know, make poops in his yard and make me bury him so I could hang out with him. Because that was the only way he let me hang out with him. If when he did feces in the yard, I had to, you know, I had this little shovel, little beach shovel and little pail, and I had to bury him in there for him. And so I did it. You know, I didn't know any better. I was a child, and I was wearing overalls. My mother always had me in overalls and shit. So I probably, you know, in these little like, what are those hippie kind of sandals? Not hippie, but they're like, fucking, I don't know, man. They're like they're leather, and they look like, you know, they look like almost like indentured servants would wear them. They are Cumberland or something. Sandals. Fuck, I don't know. They're fucking sandals, bruh. And then, so I would wear these wild little sandals with these overalls. So I probably look like I should be burying shit. So that if somebody drove by and saw me out there, you know, hiding these fucking little body bats, they weren't thinking that I was a bat. You know, they probably like, oh yeah, you dress like that, you deserve to be fucking burying dukes. And this kid Mario would make me bury all his shits around this dude. And so it got repetitive. He was shitting all the time. So I've never had anything like that. I never had anybody poop in a soap dispenser, but I have had people, you know, shit for fun in different places. And you know, I was kind of, you know, had a service commitment, you know, at that boy's yard. But then years later, he died. He drove a bass boat into an embankment on, you know, allegedly on drugs, and, you know, rest in peace. And I actually wrote his parents a letter and told them about that, you know, and told them what had happened back in the day. And I miss, you know, and he was a wild boy. He had the wildness in him. You know, sometimes he had something extra going on in him. He just had like a special energy. You know, he had a special energy. And he was into some of the dark arts, I think. And but anyhow, they buried him, I'm guessing, and they didn't let me be a pallbearer. And that kind of pissed me off, you know, and a little bit somewhere in my head, I had a resentment. Because I'm like, man, these people fucking put that boy in the ground, and they didn't let me do it. Because nobody's put more of that boy in the ground than this boy right here. You know, and God rest his soul, man. But, yeah, sorry that's happening, dude. There's people shitting in soap dispensers, dude. That's what happens, bro. That's what happens when you don't trust the government anymore. You know, that's what happens when when the Democratic Party railroads their own candidates. That's what happens when a 70-year-old man, Bernie Sanders, who gave his whole life to politics, gets fucked out of his own fucking nomination. That's what happens in this world, bruh. Onward. Let's hear more.
Theo Vaughn, Noel from Los Angeles. Great job on the Joe Rogan podcast. Royal wedding was today. It was this morning, early this morning. It's late. I'm getting out of work. I'm a bartender in Santa Monica. You can come anytime you want. I'm also sober like you, but I bartend because I make money.
Thanks for calling in, Noah. Yeah, the royal wedding was this weekend. More?
Listen, about the royal wedding, it's a big deal. My wife was telling me all about it. You got the black girl. She's half white, half black. You know, she's going to be in the royal family. It's a big deal. She's American. It's all these first times for everything. But I want to say, like, if you really want to be different, and you're Prince Harry who looks like a ginger, marry another ginger. Like, I got a buddy. He's a black guy. He's in all these commercials with a white wife and the mixed kid. The mixed thing is like, that's in right now. If you really want to be like a trailblazer and you're a red and you're a ginger, marry us another ginger. Keep the gingers going.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's true. Keep the gingers going, dude. That's a great point. Yeah, it's like, you want to be wild, do something that's out of the norm, that's not being seen. You know, marry somebody of your own style even. I'm not saying that don't interracial marry. I'm not saying any of that. But I'd love to see a big sister and a Japanese boy. Where's that at? You know, I'd love to see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed gal and a thick and a Rubenesque Korean fella. You know, I'd love to see that mix. But I'd also like to see that ginger on ginger. Would they even allow that? If you saw two gingers kissing at a stoplight, would you call the cops? Yeah, it's like, I agree. It's like, you know, we want different always changes. What's different always changes. And yeah, now it's like you see so many commercials where the family is also mixed. And I think it's good for advertising because you want everybody to feel, you know, you don't want a kid to watch a Disney World commercial or Disneyland commercial. I've talked about this before and see only white people at Disneyland. Or only what, you know, certain types of people, or only wealthy people at Disneyland, or only Asian people at SeaWorld, or only, you know, black people at, you know, where, you know, I'm trying to think of, or at Essence Fest. You know, you want everybody to feel welcome, especially via advertising. But yeah, you want to do something wild, do something really brave. You know what I'm saying? You only got one eye? Marry somebody with only, with two eyes. Or you got two eyes, marry somebody with fucking three eyes. Or half a dick. You know, do something different. You're not gay? Marry somebody with a dick. That's different. Do some unique stuff. Yeah, because yeah, sometimes the same old stuff is the same old stuff. Make that, you got an 8 box? Let's get that 64. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got one titty? Fucking find somebody that's magenta. Let's make a real wild family. But ginger on ginger, dude, would they even allow it? These are the questions we're asking, man. These are the hard hitters. Oh, what else, man? I feel like we've done a pretty good job this week, man. Okay, yep. All right, we're going to take one more question here. Here we go.
Hey, Theo, this is Rob in Georgia, man.
What's up, Rob in Georgia? Thank you for calling, man. Beautiful state you have there.
I'm just listening to this Nicole Arbor podcast. As always, excited to see a new episode up. Anyway, I'm only 20 minutes in, and I can't help but notice you seem kind of hostile, man. Were you having a bad day when you interviewed her? Do you genuinely not like this woman? I just want to get your thoughts on that and wonder why you were, feeling like that.
Thanks for calling, Rob. It was interesting having Nicole Arbor in. I think that she's a funny lady. I think she's an entertainer. I think, I'm not going to have somebody on the podcast because, there's this general thing in the air where people don't like them. Would I have Satan on? Yeah. Because you know why? I got a question for Satan. You think I'm sitting around with 0 questions for Satan? You're wrong. And I'm not comparing Nicole to Satan or anything. Look, I think Nicole's attractive. You know, I think that she's funny. I just didn't. The thing was, man, honestly, and this took me an extra day or two to think about, and this is the last that I'll talk about this, is that I don't know if she's genuine. And that's what that's what made me feel uncomfortable. I don't believe that she is genuine. And I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong, but I didn't feel it. And I felt uncomfortable. And so it was tough. You know, it was tough. And yeah, I try to make it an interesting conversation. But, you know, I feel like she's constantly kind of in this PR world, and I don't like that world that much. You know, I like something that's really real. If I can get real, and some days it's hard, man. Some days we don't fucking feel real, you know, but there's times we can, you know, those are special times these days. I feel like that. But yeah, I have that on that, man. So yeah, we've had a lot of great calls. I appreciate that call. We've had a lot of great ones this week. And I just appreciate you guys just being in here with me, you know, and just helping me. You know, I'm just happy to be here, and I'm happy that you're here. And yeah, we got some cool dates coming up on the road. You know, I'm going to try to keep my brain thinking this week. I'm going to try to not stay in my small cage sometimes. You know, I'm going to try to maybe think, you know, if I talk to somebody that I don't know if I agree with, or it's only going to help me. It's only going to help me. But if I stay too close to my template in my brain, then you can be kind of limited. You know, you can be kind of limited. You're going to be limited to your yard. You're going to be in your fishbowl. Sometimes you got to fucking hop out and land in another tank. And that's okay, because you can always get back into your bowl. You know, but that's one of the things that I took away from being on Joe's show, and that's one of you know, and you know, and he makes me feel welcome, and you're welcome. Anybody is welcome here. Anybody is welcome here. And if we can't figure out why you're not, man, we'll figure it out. You know, we're here to fucking figure shit out. You think I'm going to fucking live on this ball of dirt in the middle of nowhere and not try and figure some of this shit out? Not anymore. I'm not. Thank you guys for being here with me, man. Okay, we're going to close out here. And this is called, this was sent in through theovon.com, where you can send in, you can be a part of the podcast, merchandise, all kinds of stuff. And this is by Thomas Seipel, and this is called Gentilly Philly. And thank you guys for being here with me, and you guys be good to yourselves. You probably deserve it. Get in there! Man, that's good, huh? Thank you, Tom. There's a lot of talent out in this world, isn't there? We're gonna be okay. You know that, guys, right? We got this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jonathan Kite, and welcome to Kite Club, a podcast where I'll be sharing thoughts on things like current events, stand-up stories, and 7 ways to pleasure your partner. The answer may shock you. Sometimes I'll interview my friends. Sometimes I won't. And as always, I'll be joined by the voices in my head.
You have 3 new voice messages.
A lot of people are talking about Kite Club. I've been talking about Kite Club for so long, longer than anybody else. So great. Hey, sweetheart, here's Theo. Anyone who doesn't listen to Kite Club is a dodgy bloody wanker. Do you know what I mean?
Hi, I'll take a quarter pounder with cheese and a McFlurry.
Sorry, sir, but our ice cream machine is broken.
No!
I think Tom Hanks just butt dialed me. Anyway, first rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Second rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. Third rule, like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch us on YouTube, yeah? And yes, don't worry, my Brad Pitt impression will get better.